Good afternoon, I'm Dawn Goodfellow, Chief Executive of Racing Welfare. Racing Welfare is a charity that supports all of racing's workforce, from the very beginnings of their careers right through and beyond into retirement. We support people who work on training yards, studs, in racecourse administration, the administration of the sport in general, and the allied industries. Anybody who has a substantial record of working in racing or whose main working life is dedicated to racing is entitled to benefit from our support. Our mission is to enhance the well-being of people from the thoroughbred racing and breeding community by providing comprehensive and individual support throughout and after their working lives. And the vision of the charity is that no one from the thoroughbred racing and breeding community is left unsupported and that everyone has the opportunity to thrive. Racing Welfare was formed as an amalgamation of a number of different charities and endowment funds that the Jockey Club held in the year 2000. The objective was to give a one-stop shop to people looking for support and indeed housing as well from the racing industry. Because we have our own housing association, we focus on housing young people at the very beginnings of their careers, where we're able to give them more support. Racing actually employs a disproportionate number of young people from the 16 to 18 age bracket, many of whom are living away from home for the first time, because of course racing is very much a rural industry. And those young people are probably less well prepared today than they've ever been in our history for adult and working life. So by offering them accommodation and supporting that with support workers who are looking with them at developing those independent living skills, things like cookery, buying food for yourself, managing a tenancy, looking after your money, we can help them to have a happy, healthy start in the industry. We also support elderly people who have retired from the industry, having given a lifetime of dedication. Many of them, of course, will have been traditionally in tied housing. So when it comes to time for retirement, they don't necessarily have anywhere to go. The other thing is that a lot of the racing centres are in very expensive areas from a property point of view. So people are forced to move away from their communities and their friends in order to find that kind of accommodation for retirement. So our retirement communities are important. They bring people back together and help to avoid that loneliness and social isolation that we know can be so damaging to people's health. Until 5 years ago, Racing Welfare would have been considered, I think, an old-fashioned benevolent fund, giving out financial assistance to people who are in crisis. We've developed from that. We've built a relationship with the industry. We've done a lot of research and consultation about what the industry wants from us and where it sees those needs being. And that research has been really important in informing our services and the development of those services. And now we provide some very proactive services that are all about preventing those crises, about stopping small problems growing into big ones, and really focus on the holistic well-being of racing's workforce. One of those is racing's occupational health service, which we're very lucky to have funded by the Racing Foundation. We partner with a company called Team Prevent, and Team Prevent offer us occupational health nurses who work from each of the racing centres, and they're able to provide both face-to-face and telephone consultations for people who have long-term injuries or degenerative conditions that they may have been carrying for quite some time, who are either off work long-term or in danger of going off work long-term. And those nurses are able to assess people, to look at what their needs are, what the most appropriate treatments are, and those might be physical or mental treatments, and to find the best places to get those treatments for them. And Racing Welfare often will fund those treatments for them if they're not going to be available on the National Health Service or there's going to be a very long wait. We also work with the employers in all of this. so that what we're doing is to agree back to work plans for people and get them back into healthy, happy environments, contributing members of the community, rather than sitting at home feeling ill or unable to work, which we know is no good for anybody's mental health, and it's certainly no good for their physical health. So that brings a great deal of benefit to the industry, both from an employment and from an employee's point of view. I think it would be fair to say that when we started the service, there was a great deal of nervousness from employers that we were going to tell people to go off sick for several months. But actually, it's all about quite the reverse of that. It's all about keeping people in employment and allowing them to have healthy working lives. Whilst we still have some work around our collaboration with employers to do, that attitude has come a very long way. We also provide the careers advice and training service for the industry, and some people might question why are welfare charities doing that. But actually we know that an awful lot of both mental and physical problems can emanate from the fact that people are either in the wrong job, or they're unhappy, or they're feeling trapped, that there is no progression for them. And so our welfare officers have had training in careers counselling, but we also offer via Racing Support Line a nationwide careers counselling service. People can get support with things like CV building and that sort of thing. But perhaps more importantly, we can also fund training that helps people to develop their careers very much within the racing industry. So it helps them to see what sorts of transferable skills they have and how they might progress that in other areas of the industry if they want to move on. And that's a very, very important part of the service that we offer. I mentioned Racing Support Line. Now, this is a very important part of our offering. Until 2016, we had a telephone support line, and we'd been running that for some 8 or 9 years on a rota provided by our welfare officers. In 2016, we partnered with a company called Connect Assist, who were specialists in providing employee assistance programs and helplines to a whole range of different benevolent funds and industrial sectors. This has allowed us to grow our service. It means that anybody can access us from anywhere in the country. And there is not only the telephone platform, but also a digital platform. So people can access us via email or live chat, as well as there being a large information base on that support line. So once upon a time, people would have had to see or talk to a welfare officer to get information about something, might have been claiming benefits or something in particular like that. Whereas now they can find that information for themselves if they want to. That, of course, has freed up our welfare officers to be able to work with the most complex of cases. And so makes much better use of their time and their skills. And as I say, working in a rural industry, it makes our services available to a much wider range of people. Racing Support Line offers a whole range of different services. You can talk to one of our trained call handlers there, and they can offer help with things like mental health. So we can provide both telephone counselling and cognitive behavioural therapy online via the support line. We can also offer advice around things like benefits, debt management as well, bereavement, relationship challenges. And there is something called Language Line, which also enables those people who may be speakers of other languages who are struggling. They can dial in and they can get help from somebody who is a speaker of their own language. So it's been a really, really important development for us. And as I say, it means that anybody, anywhere can access our services, which has been a really important thing. Of course, COVID-19 has seen many changes, both in the way that we deliver our own services, but for the industry as a whole. Whilst people who are in horse-facing roles have continued on the whole to carry on working, for many of them, There have been restrictions on their income. We've seen about 1,000 people furloughed from the industry on 80% of salary. We've seen small employers really struggling with that process and that system. So we've been able to help those people, and we've had to change the way that we do that. We were offered a grant from the Racing Foundation of £750,000, and we've been able to disperse that money to the people in greatest need. Now, normally, of course, our welfare officers would be meeting people face to face to do assessments of their needs and come up with a financial solution for them. In this day and age, we're not able to do that because we've had to restrict most of our services to either telephone or remote services. So what we've done is to refine our processes and to come up with a grant making system which enables welfare officers either via the telephone or via the internet to do those assessments and to make all those payments processes much smoother so that we can get money out to those people who need it in a hurry. Whilst we are likely to see a contraction of this industry in the future, in common with a lot of other sectors of society as a result of this global pandemic, it also presents us with some opportunities to have a look at our industry and come out of this stronger and more sustainable, and to provide a workplace which actually enables people to thrive and looks after the well-being of our own people and makes racing an employer of choice. It's a fantastic industry to work in. It's a fantastic sport to work in that offers so many opportunities. This is our opportunity to improve working practices and to take us forward.